We've covered the removal policy parameter that we can provide to our constructs to control the deletion policy and update replace policy values in the CloudFormation template. But I wanted to run through the full process of ejecting a resource from CDK. So we've got a string parameter here in a little stack I've created for testing called mySmallStack. So let's do a deployment. Now the string parameter construct produces a systems manager or SSM parameter, and systems manager parameters are very often used for configuration. So actually if we look in SSM, you can see we've got an SSM parameter for the CDK Bootstrap version, and this is in the systems manager part of the console, parameter store. If I just expand this menu on the left, systems manager is getting quite big, there's a ton of functionality in here, but there's parameter store just under application management. So let's see if has it been made yet. Yep, so we give it a refresh and our demo parameter that we made in CDK is present. Lovely, it's got a value of hello demo parameter. And now what happens if we want to take this resource out of the template here, out of the CDK code, but we want to keep it, we want to keep the thing in AWS. It might be tempting to set the removal policy of the resource It might be tempting to set the removal policy of the resource, but we don't have that as an attribute here, as a parameter. So what we can do instead is we can say that this is our demo param, put it into a variable, and then we can call demo param.apply removal policy, and then removal policy.retain. So you might think, okay, fantastic, that's all ready to go. Now that I set that up, can I just delete this? Can I take it out? But obviously we have to tell CloudFormation that it should retain the resources when we delete it. So we have to do a deployment with the resource still present. So let's just do that quickly. And once CloudFormation has been told that this removal policy should be applied, we can then delete the parameter here. So if we delete that, run a deployment, and we can pop into SSM, and the parameter is gone. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense. We set this to be retain. And this is because there's a bit of a bug in CloudFormation to do with changing just the deletion policy or update replace policy. So when we added line 14 here, when we were doing this as a change to our existing parameter, we weren't changing any of the properties on the resource. All we were doing is changing the deletion policy and the update replace policy. If I do a synth, we can go and have a look at the template, and we can see that the resource, as we would expect, has an update replace policy and the deletion policy. So this is a bit of a foot gun. If we had created this parameter from the very beginning with those things, it would have made it. And the same thing is if we had changed something else about the parameter, something else about the resource at the same time, it would have applied that deletion policy and update replace policy. If you're thinking, oh my word, that's scary, then one thing you can do is go into the CloudFormation template in the console and just check that it's been updated to have those values in, to have the update replace policy and deletion policy. And another thing you can do to make doubly sure is you can run a CDK deploy as normal, and then you can take the template that has been produced as part of that, that's been synthesized or uploaded to the assets bucket, and run through an update stack operation after the fact manually in the console. So a bit messy, but something to bear in mind if you're adding in this removal policy after the fact and not changing anything else about the resource. So that hopefully shows you how we can eject a resource from CDK. We make sure it's got an appropriate removal policy set, we deploy it, we make sure that that removal policy has been applied by checking the deletion policy and the update replace policy in the console, and then we take away the resource in CDK. I think in practicality, you'll find that most resources have a very sensible removal policy by default. Things like an S3 bucket or a CloudWatch log group are retained, and I think a lot of the time that's what you want. If they're going to store data, potentially important data, you probably want them to be hanging around and do a later cleanup. But yeah, just something to bear in mind.